Tyler Coates, and I'm your host for today's Half Hour with Shifting Gears. And I'm thrilled to be joined by the showrunner of the hit ABC comedy series, Michelle Nader. Welcome, Michelle.
Hi, nice to meet you, Tyler.
Thank you. So we always like to kick things off with having our guests kind of talk about the show that they're here to speak about. Just kind of overview. What can you tell us about Shifting Gears?
Shifting Gears is a story for me about restoration, not only with cars, which is Matt Parker's business, but with his family, his estranged daughter, who is played by Kat Dennings. And we thematically always sort of try to think about it in that way, that this family has been broken and they're trying to rebuild it, and keep it as, you know, the classic that it is, but also kind of update it a bit and improve it where they can.
I love that. I love that metaphor. Before we go any further, let's take a look at a trailer for the series.
Hey, Matt, you gonna wanna see this.
Is that my GTO? I built that thing 15 years ago, and somebody stole it.
Hi, Dad.
And there is the thief.
Hey, kids, say hi to Grandpa.
Hey, Pops.
The last time you walked out that door, you looked back at me and gave me a double bird.
I was 18. The double bird was how I ended all our conversations. I'm crawling home because I'm broke and I need a place to stay until I figure out what the rest of my life looks like.
You guys can stay here.
Really? Because I haven't changed a lot.
Neither have I. I just have a certain way of doing things.
Your way.
There's literally a sign above the door.
You know what? I could tell he's happy you're home.
Look at him, am I smiling? How do people live like this?
I really need your help, Dad. Can we try to talk to each other like rational adults?
Have you watched the news lately? That's not a thing anymore.
Before Mom died, she made a relationship between you and me possible. She was our bridge. Maybe we could build our own bridge.
Okay, and then if I want to do something that you don't like, you just look at the roof over your head and go, okay.
I'm not sure you understand how bridges work.
You could go back to law school. That's always been your dream.
Actually, that was your dream for me.
You like to argue.
You do love to argue.
You might as well get paid for it.
Yeah, Pops throwing shade. Give me some, Pops. Oh.
My kids are setting the table?
It's like a lost art, like tennis.
Oh, boy.
A hard sport, but it's too much for people now. So we invented something called pickleball. If you can play a sport while enjoying the Chablis, it's not a sport.
So what I love about this show, obviously at the center you have two very strong opposing personalities played by two, I think, iconic comedy performers. I imagine that's like kind of a dream for a comedy writer, a kind of project to work on. What really made you excited about joining Shifting Gears?
Well, I mean, obviously, Kat Dennings is my professional work wife, because we've been working together since Two Broke Girls, since she was a tiny baby. And then I went on to do Dollface with her. And I heard that she was doing this show, and it really actually, like, it was like it really is like she was getting married to someone else. And I was like, how's that going to make me feel? And then suddenly it came, I mean, we were fated to be together, that they needed a showrunner, and then I did it. So that, of course, was, Kat was a big draw. And then Tim Allen is an icon. And I thought, like, when I saw the pilot, I thought, well, this show is classic sitcom, because it's these two people that you really invest in immediately, and you want to watch them grow and change and butt heads. And so it was it was just, it seems like it was destiny for me to do this. And I feel so lucky to be working with them and doing a sitcom in this day and age, and trying to, as I said earlier, modernize it in the same way that I think we're talking about restoration and restoring a classic form, but modernizing it a little bit. And you need people of that caliber to really kind of be the, the anchors for that.
Hmm. And again, you're a seasoned comedy writer. You've worked on multicam shows and single cam shows. And I'm very interested about what about this format were you excited about working in again?
We all love sitcoms, but we haven't seen them in the way that we remember them. They lost their way along the way, and I think that I wanted to bring back the form, but also, like I said, make it more modern and have a younger audience kind of come to it. And so I think that was the thing that was exciting, but also scary for me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm also curious, is it a challenge to create new characters for, icons like Tim Allen and Kat Dennings, who people kind of recognize through their previous characters they played on television? Is that a challenge that's exciting to kind of fall on your plate?
Exactly. That it is a challenge. I mean, it was a benefit for me to know Kat's voice.
Hmm.
But she's not playing the same character, obviously, but I know her voice. So I did have a shorthand, and I kind of could understand and help her develop this character, Riley, who, got married really young and, was estranged from her father. So that actually helped. But Tim Allen is a daunting figure to
Yeah.
work because he has such a you know, uh, a presence and a personality, on television, and he's Santa Claus. So, it's hard to, know how to write for him, but we spent a lot of time together before we actually started shooting, and I pitch him all of the shows because he is involved in that, that aspect of it. And I started to really understand him in a way that I think I speak Tim now. And I think he's interested in developing that persona in a different form, because now he's dating and he's a grandpa. It's sort of like we're walking down this road together.
Yeah, I love this idea of like you as a showrunner, you're kind of translating for your actors in a way and knowing how they speak and how they want to present themselves. I love that. But yeah, let's watch a clip and continue the conversation.
Georgia, last time we talked, oh, you saw that Barbie movie. You said you're gonna tear down the patriarchy, right?
Old news. My dream now is to become a billionaire like Lori from Shark Tank. She travels by helicopter.
Well, good luck finding a man that's okay with his wife making more money than him.
I don't need a man to feel complete.
When you want to kill a spider, a man's gonna look pretty darn good.
I have a shoe.
A woman that can kill insects, I like that. You should put that on your dating profile.
Mom, can I get a dating profile?
So as we see here, this show is really a multi-generational family comedy. It kind of goes beyond these two central figures and their the way they butt heads, but we have this whole family. So I'm very curious how you crafted these various relationships in the room with your fellow writers.
The whole idea of a sitcom is the development of what are the dynamics, and what I think with the writers for the first season is that it was our discovery that Georgia and Carter were stars in their own right, and they could hold scenes even without. I mean, you have Tim Allen and Kat Dennings in a show, which, you're like, okay, well, whenever they're on screen, we're going to be great. But, I've done this a long time, and, it's scarier to leave sort of the secondary characters in scenes, especially if they're kids, alone.
Mhm.
And we did this episode, the Valentine's Day episode, and it was just the kids together. And they were so incredible and held your attention and are such great actors that we then knew we had at least, we had everyone could hold their own in a scene, and jokes and stories, and they were just as compelling. So uh it was great to see that as actors they could do it, and then also that helps us in terms of developing their characters.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, how I feel like that must be kind of like a eureka moment when you see, obviously you know that they're good actors, but when you see something in them that you're like, oh, this can unlock so much more about their characters. Did you find that like kind of with the cast as a whole, not just with the child actors?
Yeah, well, so I brought in one of my we reshot some of the aspects of the pilot, and one of them was to bring in Sean William Scott as Gabe. And I think that was like another eureka moment, to steal your word, because he is I am blown away by his range and how surprising he is, and so he's so lovable, and his character loves Matt Parker so much, and which is a counterpoint to Riley's character. And so when we wrote this scene in the pilot between Riley and Gabe, and at that moment we all were like, it was electric, because we were like, oh, this is going to be a romantic piece of this show that we hadn't planned on before. So I think, we always, we're like, we have to be very we have to have spider eyes in terms of figuring out what is happening in each context, and go with that. And so now this whole relationship between Riley and Gabe is going to be a big piece of season two.
Amazing. Yeah, I wanted to call out Sean William Scott in particular because as a millennial, I remember American Pie, and he's, kind of this very hyper masculine character. He always sort of played that. And so seeing him in this setting was really, really surprising and really, really blew me away to see how like sweet and nice he can play and kind of goofy and lovable. Yeah, as you say, he's not like an antagonist in any sort of way. Um, Speaking of kind of antagonism, I feel like what I also love about the show is that you tackle big, complicated ideas, political ideas, with these two characters, with Matt and Riley, and but it never feels antagonistic. They're never hateful or angry. Matt certainly refers to how adults don't talk rationally anymore in our day and age, but I love that you keep it very light and moving. And so I find that must be a big challenge of talking about these big ideas with two big characters, but keeping them very grounded and lovable to one another.
Well, I love that question, because that is the essence of what we're trying to do in this show. It's a show about, you know, an intergenerational family living in the same house, and their viewpoints are divergent and oppositional, and they love each other. So they are willing to listen, even though they don't agree, and they are ultimately, they rather be loved than right. And I think that that's what we kind of want to kind of put out there, which is, you can disagree, but you still don't have to kind of take the other person down or cut them out, or that's what we're trying to sort of bridge these gaps in the world, as you know, like they're just, there's a lot of polarization in belief, in people's belief systems now. And I think in the best sitcoms, they tackled that, and we're doing that. I mean, Tim, always references Archie Bunker, and he's not Archie Bunker, because Tim Allen, is has a daughter in, high school, who challenges him in the same way about his thoughts. So we're living this. We're all living this. I have a 20-year-old son. Kat has, kids, from her marriage to Andrew. Like, we're all dealing with different perspectives, and we want to reflect that in this show.
Absolutely. I think thing that was really surprising in an episode where um, it's Riley's son who is dealing with some kind of like just struggles at school. He's getting some extra help, and that's really difficult for Matt to deal with. But through that episode, we see how Matt also deals with his own anxieties, and I found it really refreshing that we got to see a straight white guy of that age kind of be very vulnerable in front of other people. It was very surprising, especially in a comedy like this. So I'm very curious. You talk about modernizing the sitcom. Is that kind of what part of what you want to do is kind of show new versions of characters that we may take for granted? I mean, as you said, he's not Archie Bunker. I think he's a little softer in a way. But is that kind of what you mean by trying to modernize it?
Yeah, I mean, we don't, I mean, I think a show like The Conners, which I can't speak directly to
Mhm.
because I don't know. I know that they really tackle issues. We're not really trying to be political, or we're not really trying to be messagey, but we are trying to represent how people actually live in the world. And that episode in particular, accommodations, was something that we really thought was exactly the right kind of thread the needle exactly right in terms of how people could have completely different and opposing perspectives on the same issue. Matt didn't, he thought that that was making him kind of pathologizing him by giving him this word accommodations when he just needed different tools. And so the languaging was so different and the mindset is different. And then they both sort of figured out that this kid needs help. So how are we going to help him? Whatever we call it. And then we did it with the gummies episode too, which is another episode that is kind of about a bigger issue, but we made it, sort of funny.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You also have some incredible guest stars on this first season. Was there anyone that you were really excited to come on board, maybe you hadn't worked with before, that you were just excited to see them play in this world?
Well, I was really excited about guest stars because I thought, between Kat and Tim and me, we've worked with everyone, and we we wanted to, bring them to the party. And so, for instance, I mean, Brenda did such a solid by coming into the third episode, that episode of accommodations, and being a friend, and then dating Gabe, and then Nancy Travis, having such a history with Tim. I had never worked with her, and she's incredible, incredible, incredible. I loved her, that episode. That was the Valentine's Day episode. And then, of course, Jenna, who I had worked with on Dharma and Greg. And I just thought she is, she's at that level too of, being this incredible, comedian and sitcom star, and knows how to do this so well, and is such a great actress. And that we got her to do this and be part of this was, I just feel like people are coming to this, and that made me feel like, oh, we are doing something special, because a lot of these great people want to be part of this. And we're
Yeah.
gonna have, for season 2, I have plans.
New stacked cast, I'm sure,
Stacked,
coming. Yeah.
stacked. Get ready.
How much about classic cars do you know about now? Did you have you learned a lot more since you started this project?
No,
Okay, great. I
I
love that.
like kind of like cars, but in the way that they're like sexy and fun. I don't care about their engines, so
Yeah.
like
You're not making cocktail conversation about engines at this point, no.
that's not. I just like, I'm like, oh, that's so pretty. How much is that car?
Well, I have to say too, like the garage set is so impressive. I mean, when I watched the pilot, knowing exactly what it was going to be, I was like, "Oh, this isn't a multicam. This is like it feels like a single cam scene." So I was really shocked, just like how much detail, just how big and how detailed that set is, which I feel is also rarity in this kind of show.
Yeah, that's all. That's to Tim's credit. He really made it look like a real custom shop. And John Pasquin, who Tim has worked with, is the director, directed the pilot, and directs a lot of episodes. So he has a really interesting way of shooting multicam, which is like you said, it has a lot more depth and it feels like a real set as opposed to like a flat,
Mhm.
um, multicam set. So, but those cars, everything that they're doing to them, like, I mean, it's painstaking how much detail goes into that. It's not my strength, but I can hang. It's like I know a couple of words in custom cars.
I love that. Is there one episode in particular that you were really proud of from this first season that maybe was a challenge to like even get it up and running and complete it, or is there something, a theme or a topic that you were really excited to explore in an episode?
It's such a great thing to think about. Each one of these episodes is so precious to me because now we only did 10 and I wanted them all to be great and, all make a statement and, not, there's no one episode that I like more or less. That said, the gummy episode was very, I think it came out really great and it captured Tim in a different way. And that really made me excited that he played high. And I think he just, he's so, as an actor, he has so much more to give. And I think that that's what I like putting him in situations that we haven't seen him in yet. And I think we're going to do more of that next season. So that is one in particular that I'm proud of.
Yeah, and it sounds like he's always game for a new scenario like that to kind of find his way out of, which I also love
Yeah.
to imagine him doing.
He's game. He is, I think I mean, we have a trust now with everyone because, first season is hard and we're exploring. So I think, we're going to push the limits even further in season 2.
Love that. If you encountered someone who hasn't yet watched Shifting Gears, what would be your sales pitch to them? Like even just on the street or in a restaurant, like no, no one industry, but what would you say to convince them to check it out?
I mean, I would say if you like sitcoms in the classic way that you loved characters and you got to know them and felt that they were your family, that's what we're trying to do. We are making this show the show that we all loved as kids and like will be the show that you remember, when you're an adult. Even if you're an adult now, you go back to that. It's comfort food in a way that is, I think we all want. So I would say if you want a comfort food show, uh, and feel good afterwards, tune in.
Yeah, yeah. Also, I think it's just such a great show for a family to watch together. As someone who grew up watching Home Improvement with my entire family, I could like that felt very warm and fuzzy sitting here watching it, even by myself. It was just really lovely. I want to thank you again, Michelle Nader, for joining us, and thank you to our friends at ABC for joining us today. And to everyone watching, thank you again for watching Half Hour With.